Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. It is my pleasure to welcome back my good friend Lovie Pignata, who is an artist, an activist, a woman about the Bronx. Go Bronx, support the right initiatives, support arts and culture. That's where we will find Lovie Pignata. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me
Uh,
be here.
let's kind of check in and see where you're at. We're going to talk about a mural that you did that I think is very important because of where it's located. But just talk about some of the things you've been involved in. I saw that there was a residency program on Governor's Island. Just talk about some of the stuff you're doing.
Sure. During the pandemic, I was pretty busy making artwork. I did some restaurant barriers. I did some logo work. I painted a food fridge. I did some, food outreach. I completed two murals. One at the Bronx Botanical Market, which is a store at the corner of Pelham Parkway and Fordham Road, as well as a large mural at the Boys and Girls Club on 189th Street in Lorillard.
Which is specifically what I want to talk about. Let's just step back. In general, the pandemic was very difficult, but I think for me and for a lot of people, it inspired us, I don't want to say to look inside, but to do things that culturally will help us heal. And murals and artists and public art, you say you did it for restaurants, that all of a sudden had outdoor seating and all that. In your mind, what's the advocacy? What's the value of that? And why are you so passionate about doing it?
Well, I think it's nice to see colors and get taking a look at some art will give you a little break from life and some inspiration for people that aren't artistic, just to see something nice on the wall, something new to notice. I know during the pandemic, I was painting more and getting more work for art, which I was surprised that that's when I started getting more busy with art than anything else.
Yeah, I think it really it makes sense to me. Is that people? I mean, listen, we all know what we went through, but uh, as you say, colors reminds you that there's real life out there, and people, if they were shut in, they were being creative. You had to do something, and so I think there was a lot of that. So let's talk specifically about this Boys and Girls Club thing. This was kind of a collaboration, really, as I understand, from Fordham University, which is nearby. Just talk to me about setting it up, and then we're going to look at the mural, and you put out a couple of nice videos of what it looked like when you were creating it. So let's talk about the entities that were involved.
Sure. The Fordham Bronx Advocates is a new extracurricular group at Fordham, which is the Fordham students trying to integrate with the rest of the Bronx. They're kind of on an island there. And many of them stay there. So they started an initiative to interact with their surroundings. And this was the first large project for that new group at Fordham. It was the brainchild of Mark Nason, who many people know his name around the Bronx, and Lisa Preddy, who is another another Fordham person.
Yeah, a personality there. Yeah,
Yes,
Dr. Nason, of course, is the founder of the Bronx African American History Project. I think the philosophy has been that there is this huge university that occupies a significant amount of space in our borough, and because it's a private university, and people don't necessarily come from the Bronx who attend there. It's always, as you said, been an island, and why not have the resources shared? Number one, the incredible culture and history, and we know what is in the Bronx, but also the resources of the university. Maybe we can begin to incorporate some of those to build up our communities. So the idea was to do something good for the Boys and Girls Club, which is right down the block, right?
Yes, it's very close to Fordham. So Lisa was on a lunch break, stopped by, spoke to the director Yolanda at the Boys and Girls Club, because we were looking for a wall to do a large project, and they were excited about it. They got the go ahead from their main office, and there was a bit of a pause because this was all talk long before the pandemic. The funds were raised very quickly through Fordham alumni and through Fordham channels. And we started the project in, I think, the very beginning of April.
Mhm.
And it
And
includes,
well, this just underscores what I was saying. There's resources there at Fordham University. They came
yes,
up with the funding, and all of a sudden we have a beautiful mural. Part of this was about, it's symbolic of food insecurities. It's not like we just kind of painted something pretty. Talk to me about the theme, and we have pictures of it. Producer Rebecca Hemick is going to show the pictures. There's really these cool videos that you created, so you could see, the people actually working on it and developing it. But talk to me about thematically what the idea was.
the idea was to incorporate some of the tenets of the Boys and Girls Club. One of them is healthy living. They mentioned that there used to be a garden outside in the fenced area in front of the mural, so it sparked the idea to give them a garden. Back then, it had nothing to do with the pandemic or food insecurity, so it came before that, but it ended up being more symbolic later on. Now that is a hub for food to be distributed. There's fresh produce that's distributed at that Boys and Girls Club. And we also raised additional funds from local Bronxites to rebuild the garden beds that were there many, many years ago.
I was going to ask you about that. As I told you, I happened to be by there. I was over at the junior high school, the middle school that's across the street, and I noticed it. And it was interesting that the wall is fenced in. And I was saying, boy, that's a great place for a garden. So that is the plan, that they're going to
Yes,
reconstitute the garden.
yes, yes.
Oh, I'm
So
I'm
that,
happy about that. That's great.
yes. So I gave them a garden on the wall, not knowing if the garden in front of it would be completed. But we did raise the funds while I was painting.
Wow.
A small foundation in the Bronx, the Northeast Bronx Farmers Market, is going to donate a box, and that's where the donations will run through. And we're going to be building those by the end of the summer, so it will have growing food, for early fall. So that's the next part of the project, and that's an all volunteer project.
So this really is, the beauty. People say, well, okay, so they painted a mural, but here it is. I hate to use the pun. It's going to grow into a garden, into inspiration for the young people who go to the Boys and Girls Club, and all of a sudden there's life. That really, to me, is the best of it, and the beauty of it. Talk to me about the design. You did it yourself. You did it on paper. How did that work?
I
How did
sketched
we create this thing?
Um, well, I took a picture of the wall just to get an idea of it, and then I printed that out and drew on that to work out the design. I did add more fruit. I added a few more vegetables. The mural's about 75 to 80 feet long, so it's kind of a meandering mural. It's hard to capture in one photo. It needs a panoramic.
I
But
was going to say meandering is not fair, and I would never have said that, but you said it. And yes, I can appreciate that, because I took pictures, and it was hard to like stand back. I don't know if I would have had to get into an airplane or something. And how does this relate to other murals you have done, or other murals that you might do? Is in other words, all artists have a continuum. Where does this fit in the continuum of you as an artist, as a muralist, etc.?
I think it's just a continuation of interacting with the community while I paint, after I paint, and it stays like a living mural or living artwork. When I had my installation at Virginia Park, there were canoes, there was painting, it was very active. We did many events there. This is similar in the sense that it's going to turn into a garden. It's going to continue. It's going to stay activated. It really activated the space instead of just making a wall colorful. It just kicked off a lot of activity, and the help of the Boys and Girls Club and Fordham volunteers really got a lot of people involved in this project, and will continue to invite other people in with the gardening part.
All right, now I'm going to make a little prediction. other projects you're going to do, you're going to be hearkening back in your mind and say, well, wait a minute, we did it there. I'm not just putting up a mural now. Let's see if we could do something. Let's bring some more kids in. Let's connect it to another project. Am I wrong about that?
Well, I hope that my next project is interactive as well. I always like to have the input of the people that are going to live around it, because that's really who it's for. I may visit my artwork more times than most artists. I feel like I do. But the people that live around it, I want them to be happy with it. I want to talk to them when they're walking by and ask questions about it, or they want to jump in and pick up a paintbrush and help. So the next project I hope would be just as interactive and continue along those lines.
So now anybody who says, you know what, I got a restaurant, I got a wall in my neighborhood, how do they find you on social media and other contact information so that people can say, hey, I like what Lovie's about. I like her attitude to the Bronx. How do we find her?
My name is I Lovie New York.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I Lovie New York. I like that. That's good.
I Lovie New York. It's on Instagram, at Gmail, Twitter, Facebook. That is the easiest way to find me.
Great. Lovie Pignata, thank you so much for not only this one, for everything that you do. And I think it's great. I think, you're preaching to the choir, more culture, more artwork. This stuff, it will, to pun again, it will grow. And that's how we're going to continue to build the Bronx. Lovie Pignata, thank you so much. And folks, thanks to David Cruz. And we'll see you next time on the Bronx Buzz. Good night.